In the grand halls of Buckingham Palace, under golden chandeliers and centuries of tradition, there once ruled a man who would become one of the most tragic figures in British history. A king loved by his people, feared by his enemies, and ultimately defeated not by war or rebellion, but by his own mind. This is the story of King George III, the monarch who lost America and himself. When George III ascended to the throne in 1760, he was only 22 years old. Earnest, moral, and determined to be a king of the people, he married Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, a woman he'd never met before their wedding day, and remarkably, they grew to genuinely love one another. Together they had 15 children, and George was known as Farmer George for his fascination with agriculture and science. To the outside world, he seemed the image of stability, but beneath the crown, a storm was quietly brewing. The 1780s brought a series of devastating stresses. Britain had just lost its American colonies, a humiliation that haunted him, and soon after, strange symptoms began to appear. George's speech would quicken, his words tumbling over one another. He'd pace for hours, unable to sleep for days. His urine reportedly turned deep blue, and he was plagued by violent stomach pains. At times, he seemed possessed by a boundless energy, talking non-stop for hours, laughing hysterically or weeping uncontrollably. Then came the delusions. He spoke to invisible figures, and once believed he was conversing with angels. During one infamous episode, he greeted a tree in the gardens of Windsor Castle, as though it were the King of Prussia. As his condition worsened, the palace became a prison. Physicians of the 18th century had no understanding of mental illness, only cruelty disguised as treatment. George was restrained in straitjackets, blistered with hot irons, and given vomit-inducing potions in an attempt to balance his humors. He screamed for hours, sometimes restrained to his bed as his family listened helplessly from the next room. Queen Charlotte, terrified of his unpredictable behavior, kept her distance. The love that once defined their marriage now replaced by fear and sorrow. Behind the velvet curtains of monarchy, Britain's most powerful man had become its most helpless patient. Centuries later, modern science would uncover a likely cause, a rare metabolic disorder called porphyria. It disrupts the body's ability to process chemicals in the blood, causing episodes of pain, discolored urine, and severe mental disturbances. However, historians still debate the true nature of his illness. Some argue it was not porphyria at all, but bipolar disorder, perhaps worsened by the pressures of kingship and relentless isolation. Whatever the cause, the result was the same. The monarch who once united a nation was slowly consumed by madness. In 1811, after decades of recurring breakdowns, Parliament declared his son, the Prince of Wales, the official regent. George III lived for nearly another decade, blind, deaf, and hopelessly lost in his delusions. When he died in 1820, he had outlived not only his wife but several of his children. He died alone, whispering nonsense to the empty air, a shadow of the man he once was. History remembers King George III as both tyrant and victim. To Americans, he was the villain of the Revolution. To the British, he became a symbol of tragedy, a reminder that even kings can break. In the end, the story of George III is not merely about madness. It is about the fragile line between power and vulnerability, about how even the mightiest can be undone by forces within themselves. If you found this story intriguing, join us again for more tales where history meets tragedy, and the truth is stranger than fiction. This has been Crimes and Tragedies, and thank you for watching.